Hello and welcome to the OandGStrikeZone. It's Bryan Fulford, Kofi Hemingway, Kelvin Rozier. We're back for another edition as we get a little bit closer to the start of the 2021 athletic season. We've actually got some programs. One of our programs starting up this upcoming weekend, and then of course football takes the stage next weekend. So we appreciate you coming in and joining us. Kofi, Kelvin, how you doing, guys?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Blessed. Can't complain. No complaints. Awesome. Nobody will care anyway.
We care, brother.
I appreciate it. Somebody.
On the highest of 7 hills is excellence with caring. We care.
Family.
There you go. Well said. We want to thank you guys for out there watching, tuning in. Make sure you are following us, liking on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at OandGStrikeZone. That's where you can also send us an email. Let us know thoughts, questions that you have for any of us, whether it be for Kofi, Kelvin, me. You can just send that email to OandGStrikeZone@gmail.com. And maybe it'll hit our mailbag segment. No mailbag this week. Pretty light on the email, guys. Any comments or anything out there from anybody that you want to share, or any questions that are out there?
Well, people are waiting for us to go live. I can honestly say that. I've talked with about 4 or 5 people, and they have a bunch of questions, and they are just waiting to just be able to bombard us with questions while we on the air. So they want to know what time we finna be there, and they want to know when is it going live, because they want to do it. But it's telling me that we are getting a good number of views on our show, man. So I'm excited about that.
Football.
How we looking?
They want more football.
How we looking?
Yeah. Look, let's get those numbers up. You guys who are out there watching and liking, make sure whatever means you are watching, make sure you're subscribing. You know, if you're listening to us on the BCSN Pod Zone, make sure you're saving that channel. Obviously, if you're catching our show on video, make sure you're liking it on YouTube, or if you're watching it on Facebook, go to our Facebook page, be a part of what we have going on there, so we can continue to grow our numbers. All right, we definitely want to continue to grow our numbers. We got a busy show. No interviews this week. It's just us, because we got a lot of stuff to get to and talk about. Everything from all kinds of sports, all kinds of different angles. So let's kind of start with what gets most people's palates wet, and that's football. So we'll start there with some of the news coming out of our second scrimmage from the past Saturday, actually Sunday, because scrimmage number 2 actually got pushed back from Saturday to Sunday. And one of the top headlines that I read, guys, had to be, and this, look, I put this in the text because I was kind of curious to see what kind of reaction I would get from you guys. But the
Maritovic ain't starting. I'm just letting you know.
Well, hey, look, the true freshman, Maritovic, from out of my backyard out here in Wekiva High School, impresses in his second scrimmage, even though his numbers were, let me see, I'm going here to the numbers. His numbers may have only been 6 of 13 for 111 yards, but Maritovic did lead the offense down the field for 3 touchdowns, according to the reporting from FAMUathletics.com. So it just, I just had to ask the questions, and you guys quickly struck me down on that.
6 of 13, absolutely not. Now, if it had gotten about 11 or 13, 12 or 13, you might have had a discussion. But even with that, we pretty much, I'm pretty much sure that we've settled in. In fact, Coach Simmons has settled in on McKay. Somebody would have to do super phenomenal to unseat him. He has a mastery of the playbook. He has the most experience of the guys that are currently out there. And Coach Simmons has stated that we don't need, a Pat Mahomes type dude. We just need somebody that's going to be a solid game manager that's not going to turn the ball over, nowhere to go with the ball. And right now, that's McKay.
Typically with second scrimmages, the focus is on your depth, right? Who's going to back up who. Only a few positions are really up for grabs. And the ones you know or you feel good about, you don't give them any reps. So you didn't see McKay much. That's pretty much a telltale sign for me that he's got the starting job locked up. And we were more concerned with who's going to be backing him up for that game.
Absolutely.
And I'm really interested to see, because SAP numbers were pretty good too. So I'm really interested to see between those two how that pans out.
Another name from out of that scrimmage, which got a lot of love, was Bishop Bonnet. 5 carries, 65 yards, scored twice, continues to show why he is an electrifying playmaker. I have to remember sometimes he's only listed as 5'7", which just adds to his shiftiness. We got a couple of those kind of dudes now. I feel like it'll be interesting to see whether Bonnet or how much time Bonnet gets behind in the backfield versus playing in that special teams punt returner, kick returner role. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because definitely in the backfield, there's an opportunity to go with sort of a thunder and lightning kind of backfield, with a guy like Terrell Jennings. And then, of course, another young man, DeAndre Francis, the freshman, who continues to impress. So we just, it's pretty impressive. It's stacking up to be an impressive show. Any other thoughts from scrimmage? Any other headlines that stood out for you guys?
Well, for me, I mean, just, seeing that the defense stepped up their play was a key element for me, because you don't want to go into, FAMU's going to do well in the SWAC is going to be because I believe largely because of our defense. SWAC teams score. They have good skilled people. They're going to put pressure on you on the perimeter. And so being able to have a fast, physical defense that can make plays is paramount to our success. And to see that they were readily able to step up in that department did me a lot of good. Definitely got me excited.
And I concur. Bryan, you hit the two things that stood out to me in terms of offense with the quarterback play and Bonnet and Francis. But like Kofi, I'm really focusing in on the defensive pressure and moving the line of scrimmage. And it was encouraging to see that we had quite a few tackles for losses, a turnover here and there, that, the defense won their share of battles. And that's what you want to see. Our offense, let's face it, is prolific. So if our defense is competitive with the offense on a daily basis in practice, I don't worry about game days. We'll be good.
Where do you see, if you had to predict the running back situation, obviously Bonnet, Jennings, Terrell Jennings, Eddie Tillman III had a good performance in the second scrimmage. 6 carries, 35 yards, a reception for 18. DeAndre Francis, a young freshman who's shown up. And then let's not forget, a lot of expectations for Jalen McLeod. I won't forget, that's a name that Keenan Forbes told me to watch out for in spring. So what are your thoughts on what our backfield will look like?
I'm picturing something kind of like the Patriots. You don't have a bunch of necessarily superstars, but you got a number of people that can keep the chains moving. And they can hit you from a number of different ways. For instance, Terrell Jennings is a big, fast back. He's physical. He can do a number of different things. And then you've got the shiftiness of a Bonnet. Then you've got DeAndre Francis, who's along those same lines. Then you got McLeod, who's another big physical back. Then you got Tillman, who's along that line with Jennings, man. And then, we've got a couple of guys, I believe, from Miami that are phenomenal. And, I feel good about our running game. I know that was a heavy emphasis. I know that they, I don't want to mess up the guy's name. It's not Dukakis, the offensive line coach that left, but he put in a lot of work dealing with our blocking schemes up front. Early when we thought that we may have been playing some football in the spring, and then getting the guy from Southern Mississippi in to work with the offensive line. We got some big boys up there. So I'm fully expecting us with a greater understanding of our concepts, greater understanding of our continuity to see how the tote game is going to basically do. These guys are versatile. They're not one-dimensional. They can all catch. And they're all fast. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of that just really fits into the game plan and how Coach Simmons chooses to use them. I'm excited about it.
Along those same lines, I'm trying to think with that kind of depth, and we have different kind of backs, like we've all expressed. I'm trying to think. I anticipate we'll be in front quite a bit, and so what I'm interested in is short yardage and our commitment to the run throughout the game to shorten the game when we have leads and so forth, and how we use the backs in that case. I heard about a pretty good lick that Francis took on the goal line by Marquise and
Bonnet.
And I would much rather see Terrell Jennings or McLeod probably take those goal lines and 3rd and 1s and so forth. So I'm really interested just to see how all that pans out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Kofi was saying I think it was Bonnet who took that lit from Marquise. I think I saw a post-game on one of the stations, a post-game interview with post-scrimmage interview with Coach Simmons talking about having to remind Marquise that, hey, don't bust up my running backs like that. Too bad, we still got to play Jackson State in a couple weeks. Let's dial that back a little bit. Also, one of the names that I saw in the scrimmage report, guys, was defensive back Lovie Jenkins, the Louisville transfer who, look, the last week we did this show, we were just talking about Lovie, who had just come on board. I don't know if he had just got on campus. It just was official last week, along with Antoine Collier. But Jenkins making a play with an interception on a deep pass in that scrimmage. So he is already getting himself acclimated and just adds to that depth, man. Tough decisions are going to be made. It'll be interesting to see what we look like when the depth chart comes out. Definitely that's one of the things that I'm sure we'll be talking about on next week when Coach Simmons has his coaches show, and we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up. But let's transition a little bit, guys, to when we talk about this team, let's talk about some of the most impactful returners. And we've been talking about this concept for the last couple of weeks now. Most impactful returners, most impactful newcomers. I mean, I think it's too hard right now to try to say, hey, give me a top 10 overall, because we got two different groups here. We've got the guys from 2019, maybe even a guy or two who didn't play 2019 but played 2018. We've also got two handfuls of guys from that are newcomers, whether they be freshmen or transfers. So we're going to break it down in those two groups and just kind of just mention our top 10. So let's start. Where do we want to start, guys? We want to start with let's start with the returners. And we'll kind of, since there's three of us here, we'll kind of just go around the horn here. Maybe I think we all kind of have a similar list. So for the purposes of the folks out there and getting everybody involved here, let's just kind of go through a couple of names, and then we'll just kind of keep rotating. And then when we get to that end, we'll kind of say, well, hey, I had so-and-so on my list, but didn't have this person. So Kelvin, why don't you go ahead? We'll go Kelvin, Kofi, and then I'll come around at the end and then bring it back to you, Kelvin.
I'm really excited to see Chad Hunter this year. You know, we only got to see very little bit of him on the field. 2019, injuries took him out. But in 2018, he was a monster. And with the development of David Manigo and Xavier, and now we've got Sherrod from Texas State and a whole bunch of other staple wide receivers around. The focus is not going to be on him initially. And he's a seasoned vet, and he's a dog. So I really think he's going to have an opportunity to have some really big numbers early, just because he's just been away. But his talent level is elite. So that's one returning player I'm keeping an eye on. Someone else I think that has an opportunity to be big, could potentially, is a cornerback. I'm gonna go with cornerback Eric Smith. Very athletic. He's undersized a little bit, but he's very athletic. And you know, he's one of those Miami kids, hard nosed, plays bigger than his size, and he made a lot of plays, had a lot of stars in 2019. And he's familiar with the schemes. I believe our pass rush is going to be more improved and more consistent. I think the defense is going to be playing ahead of the chains, meaning that, you know, they're going to be playing with the lead a lot. And so quarterbacks are going to have to take some risks and put the ball in the air a little more. And so I'm looking for turnovers. And then, of course, I firmly believe stars have to play like stars. So, you know, we know who our All-Americans are. Marquise, Xavier, of course, are going to be key.
All right. Give the next couple of guys that you have there, Kofi.
I would say, obviously, Bishop Bonnet. He's a little guy, but he's got a ton of heart. He's shifty, he's quick, and he's hungry. Every time I look around, this guy is, he's working his tail off. He's doing a number of different things, and he's endured a lot of little injuries. And I think him knowing that this is his last hurrah has, I want to say, re-energized him. This team is unified. They've spent a lot of time together. So him being able to be a part of this group means a lot to him. For him to be able to do it. He's got a number of different motivating factors, but I'm fully expecting him to have a huge impact on this year, along with his fellow Duvalian, Terrell Jennings, who's 6 feet 230. I love his size. I love his speed. He played on championship squad. In fact, both Bishop and Terrell Jennings played on championship state-winning squads. So they're used to being around a championship culture. They know what it means to be in a big game. They know what it means to play in those type of games. They know the measure of intensity and the preparation that goes into it. And so knowing that this is an opportunity for FAMU to definitely make history and make their presence known in the SWAC is a big deal to those guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing them both.
Yeah, definitely. Quality. It'll be interesting. Like I said, that's that thunder and lightning I was talking about. You know, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Bonnet and Jennings. Jennings, who led the team in touchdowns back in 2019 with 6, and Bonnet was actually the leading rusher. Go figure that. You know, so pretty interesting. So the next two, I'll go with the interior. I'll go to interior. So I'll start with Keenan Forbes. The grad student, 6'3", 330, offensive lineman, who will be I got to imagine, he will be the captain of a very interesting offensive line group. And we'll explain why coming up here in a moment. But this is an offensive line group that I think will have the pressure, so to speak, on them to run the ball better. I think Coach Simmons really wants to run the ball better. I don't think he wants to be the heavy pass team that we were in 2019. I really think he wants to find that nice balance where he can be 50, 50-50. I mean, it's kind of hard to be 50-50, but 60-40 even pass run. You were gonna say
that's a big deal, bro. That's a big deal. I mean, going back to that ill-fated Florida Classic that I really don't want to talk about right now, but I have to talk about it because we had a third down and 3, and we didn't run the ball. Ryan almost threw an interception on that first ball, and then he came back the very next play, back to the exact same play and tried to do the same thing again on a 4th down and 3, and threw an interception.
When you don't have confidence in your running game, which, I mean, honestly, the running game wasn't a strength all season, or at least by that point in the season, you knew it wasn't the strength. So, look, but now we hope that has been corrected. I mean, we got enough guys in the backfield. We've seen that. Now we just need the help from the guys up front. I mean, so that's why I mentioned Forbes, and then we'll get to his other guys, his teammates on that front line. But how about, here's a name that we don't hear a lot, but he led the team in sacks and tackles for loss in 2019. You don't hear him getting a lot of mention when we talk about returning players. But I got to say, Ronaldo Flowers, 5'10", grad student, 245, defensive lineman, again, led the team in sacks and tackles for loss in 2019. So, while I know on that defense, Marquise Bell gets a lot of the attention, and rightfully so, but I think it'll be important that we have a guy like Flowers. And again, notice we're talking grad students, redshirt seniors, very veteran group in the defensive, on the defensive line, in the interior, in the key positions. That's two guys that I'm going to spotlight. Who else we have there, Kelvin? I think we've gone through about 7 guys at this point. Who else we got on our list?
I think we talked about Mayweather, the guy in the middle, the returning middle linebacker, big run stopper, call the defense, captain, and so forth. We need him to play like the vet he is and the champion he is. So I think he's another name we'll hear about and we need to see.
What about you? What about you, Kofi?
Well, of course, I mean, I don't want to cheat or anything by saying Marquise Bell, but you kind of have to say that every time I say his name, I'm picturing the 100 playing Ring My Bell as he knocks somebody clear across the field into the next oblivion and stuff. Just a nice little snippet of Ring My Bell. But he's obviously the heart and soul of this defense. But this defense is full of head knockers. I want to kind of say that. This defense is full of head knockers, and I'm excited to see how these schemes are going to definitely come together. We're talking about returning players.
I think you've already mentioned David Manigo earlier, Kelvin, when you were talking about with Xavier Bishop and Manigo. So I think that's important. Manigo, who I believe a lot of times lined up in the tight end position, if I'm not mistaken, in 2019, even though he's listed as a wide receiver, just a big dude, 6'3", 190. So I know you had mentioned him, but I'll close it off with 2 guys that I think we all had on our list. And you almost forget that he's coming back. All-American punter Chris Fadul, who is coming back. What a weapon he is. When we talk about, that the advantage that he gives you and the advantage he gives your defense is just ridiculous. And so when you got a guy like Fadul, there's an added bonus there because he can pin the other team and put them in some bad starting spots. And so that just opens up the door for the defense, especially with the team, with your opponent possibly pinned inside the 20 or inside the 10, as he likes to do a lot. And then, of course, look, I mean, how impactful is Rashawn McKay? I mean, we cannot leave him off our list because what? We expect him to be QB1. Look, and there's no more important position right now with this team than QB1. And I think we've got the right guy. We've seen him perform under pressure, no bigger performance than what he did against North Carolina A&T. And so I'm real excited about this young man's opportunity, and he'll have some good support behind him. So it'll be a good quarterback room.
Let me just say, I've seen him perform under pressure. He played, I think, for Corey Fuller at Godby, lead his team against Quinn Gray's Lincoln team in the last seconds back. So he's been under pressure in those pressure type games and having to score. And I think that he's going to do quite well. I think that we have a plethora of weapons, man. This is the best FAMU football team roster wise, I will say, since 1999.
Wow. Beautiful thing. When we come back, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into some of the more impactful newcomers, and then we're going to look at this SWAC schedule. We're going to take a peek at the SWAC schedule and just talk about the impact games of the SWAC this year. And, it's funny, I've gone through this list many a times, guys. I've looked at this schedule. I've even predicted every game win-loss in this schedule. And something just glared at me for the first time. And I'll kind of reveal what that is when we talk about some of those top games. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. And also we'll kind of get into some of the new deals and news and notes going on with FAMU Athletics a little bit later in the show. Stick around. We'll be back right after this. You're watching the OandGStrikeZone. Bryan, Kofi, Kelvin. We'll be back right after these words.
Let's go.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show. Welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Bryan, Kofi, Kelvin, reminding you, make sure you like and subscribe wherever you're listening, however you're listening. Share the show with some of your Rattler friends, family. Let them know football season's around the corner. The Rattlers are traveling down to the Orange Blossom Classic in Miami Gardens, playing right there in the Hard Rock Stadium. Beautiful stadium. Fellas, did you happen to see the turf, the new turf they put down? I don't know if you happen to watch the exhibition game that the Dolphins played in over the weekend, but man, the turf looks nice. Looks nice. It's in prime playing condition. I don't know. There's something about the stadiums and the turf when you see it on the FTV and the nice green color of the grass. It just gets you excited for football season. Maybe it's just me.
Well, Miami takes a lot of care of their turf just because that stadium is an event stadium. So there are regulations and stuff. You've got the Dolphins that play there, the Hurricanes that play there. You got this classic game. You got a soccer team. That turf has to be in tip-top condition. So, yeah, I'm not shocked at all. And they want other people to look at that field and be like, "Ooh, I want to play there in this stadium." So that's all good.
I hope we get and I don't know. I hope we get the letter art. I hope the art for the Orange Blossom Classic. I hope the Jackson State, Florida A&M end zone, or maybe actually it's our Orange Blossom Classic, so maybe you should really just say Florida A&M on both end zones. But somehow I hope the artwork and design for the game gets on the field. I don't want to poo-poo it and say I better not see the Dolphins logo on the 50-yard line. No offense to Dolphin fans out there, but I want to see the Orange Blossom Classic, the pageantry of the game respected, and so I want to see the appropriate artwork on the field. Kelvin, anything to add on that?
Oh, except for that game it was an ugly game. I'm a Falcons fan, so
go Dolphins. Go
right,
Dolphins.
I knew somebody was a Dolphins fan here.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. So look, hey, a couple of news and notes from the football program. One bit of good, one bit of bad. Where do we want to? You want to start with the
bad first? Get it out of the way.
All right, Kelvin. I'll let you start with the bad, and then Kofi, you can mention the good.
Yeah, we mentioned last week about Herman Jackson, how much we were looking forward to him, and how much of a contributor we thought he would be for this season. And he got injured, season-ending injuries, his second one since he's been here. He worked really hard to get back. He looked so promising and good as a freshman, and to have these back-to-back injuries and then lose a season with COVID, I just feel bad for him. And keep him in our prayers and keep his head up and work real hard, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see him next year.
Exactly. Prayers up to Herman Jackson. Keep your head up, young fella. There's bigger and better days ahead. Trust me. Yes. All right. So Kofi, what about the good news from the two news bits that we got?
Are we speaking of? It's a lot of news. So we're speaking of Elry.
We are, yeah.
Yeah, Elry Jackson, who is Elry Allen, who's the son of Craig Allen, actually got somewhat of a promotion. He was promoted to be able to be on full scholarship, which I think is a real blessing. That young man has endured a ton of stuff, from depression. He lost his grandmother, dealt with injuries. He persevered. He worked his tail off. And the good thing about it is, even with the players I coach, I say somebody's always watching you. Someone with the ability to promote you is always watching you. And they're talking about you even when you're not in the room. Make sure that they're talking and saying something good about you. So he worked his tail off to the point that, they felt the need, and they felt led to go on ahead and give the young man what he has earned. And he earned a scholarship.
All right. Well, congratulations to
Elry
Allen, and well deserved. So
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And a little connection there between that family and you two guys, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Absolutely. Craig Allen played for the High, FAMU High. He was a phenomenal basketball player. He went on to the Highs of Seven Hills and played up there as well. He was our Horace Grant in so many ways and terms, and he was an all-around baller, man. He could do a number of different things, and he's a phenomenal athlete, and I see where Elry gets his genes from.
All right. Well, again, shout out to Elry. Congratulations. I saw his name mentioned in the report from the scrimmage, so it's good to see. Hopefully he continues to find his way on the field and makes impacts as often as he can. So speaking of impacts, we want to kind of follow up from the last segment where we talked about the top returners. We've got about a handful of newcomers, and the best ways we can describe these newcomers, a list of transfers as well as freshmen that we've kind of got our eye on, that we think, given the opportunity to shine, they will, or at least that's what we're hoping. And so, until, we've seen good reports, you're hearing good reports. So we're just hoping that these guys come through as expected. And so a lot of it'll be us. I'll start it off, guys, by just one mention. I'll mention Savion Williams to start it off. Defensive lineman, 6'4", 290, a senior, transferred from Tennessee, played at University of Tennessee in the SEC. One of the more impressive spring videos or summer videos I saw is where somehow he got lined up in a little offense defense out wide as almost maybe a tight end. I don't know, but it was inside the red zone, and he put a move on that DB or whoever was guarding him and ended up scoring a touchdown. And instantly I'm thinking, okay, somebody's got to figure out a package where we can get Savion in there in a goal line situation. I mean, big dude, 290, able to catch and moss people the way he did. That's impressive. So that's one guy I definitely think we got to keep an eye on. And then the other name I'll go with, again, mentioned earlier, Jalen McLeod, running back, transfer from Savannah State, played at Bowles High School in Jacksonville. And mentioned him, of course. That's a name that Keenan put me on to and said we got to watch out for. So we're just kind of waiting to see when he gets his opportunity. Keep your eyes open. Again, Jalen McLeod. Who do you got, Kelvin?
I'm going to go with the offensive line because that is so critical. You mentioned about we want to run the ball better. We got all these skill position weapons and so forth. And we really beefed up size-wise and experience-wise what we added to. We had quite a bit returning, but I think the coaches think that they added length, they added size, they added experience, hopefully toughness. And so I'm looking at the two Florida State old offensive lineman transfers, Jay Jackson Williams and Michael Arnold. And I throw in there also the Wake Forest transfer, Orlando Higgs III. We need at least two of those three to be very solid starters, right? At the very least, well, we can rely. We need a side of the line that we can rely. We need that yard, that 2 yards, that 3 yards. And everybody know we coming that way and we get those 2 or 3 yards. I mean, these guys 6'6", 345, 6'4", 335, 6'3", 315. And with that FBS experience, a lot of these guys did play start and they have experience, the grad students to Arnold and Jackson. So this expectation is when you bring in people with that talent, that experience, that size, that pedigree, that it translates on the field. So I'm really looking for them to join the family and do a really good job. And then I'll throw one more in on the defensive side. And that's going to be, I'm always concerned about the pass rush. I hadn't heard much about him yet, but I'm looking. Stephon Atkinson, transferred from West Kentucky, 6'3", 235, DN. We're going to need some pass rush without having a blitz. I like his length. I like his size. Again, he looks the part, and we're going to need him to contribute.
All right, Kofi, what about you? Who you got on the list?
I'm going to say Jeremiah Pruitt's tight end, 6'5", 230. He's got incredible length. He was originally a wide receiver when we first signed him, but this guy has incredible length and height, so you can see jump ball opportunities. You see opportunities to really get him in mismatches with linebackers, mismatches with safeties. Big, huge physical specimen. And so him being able to be a part of this explosive offense with all of those wide receivers, the defense is literally going to have to pick their poison. And so I see him being able to make a huge impact in a third down go-to person for our QB.
You want to throw a second one in there, or?
I mean, obviously, I didn't want to say Jamari Sharif, but I'm going to go ahead and say Jamari Sharif because he's huge. He's super fast. I'm going to call him Flash. He's super fast, super quick. His quickness in open space just makes him somebody that is going to be a playmaker for us. Guaranteed. He's going to make a ton of plays in the kick return game, a ton of plays in the punt return game, a ton of plays even in the reverse, or even a part of our running game as we do little toss sweeps or just different things with our RPO offense. We're going to see him heavily involved in that. And he's got good hands as well. This guy has a dog mentality. He is super tough. And so having him on this offense is going to be absolutely phenomenal.
Nice. Shareed out of Texas State. I saw a video calling him the human joystick. That's a YouTube video I saw for him out of Houston, Texas. So it's good to see it. We don't get too many guys from out of the Texas region. So good to see us snag one, or at least so it'll be interesting to see again where he fits in the mix, how much special teams with the punt returners and the kick returners, imagine him on one side and Bonnet on the other side on kick return.
Well, let me just say this. This is a challenge. This is something that I've been talking with Kelvin Rozier about considerably. And, our special teams coach, under Willie Simmons, we have not had a kick return for a touchdown. We've not had a punt return for a freaking touchdown. And wow. I want to see us as a Florida team get a freaking touchdown from the punt return and kick return game and make our life a whole lot easier. And one of the things, just FAMU has had phenomenal special teams players in times past. Joe Taylor, his heavy focus was really on special teams, and he fully and wholeheartedly believed in having his best players out there. But that's largely why he always had a return guy back there that could break one and make life or flip the field and do a number of different things. Just even from the punt blocking aspect of it, imagine Shareed being out there or Shareed being out there, even Marquise Bell being out there on the end to be able to just, speed in there and quickly block a punt. Those are impact plays that can help to put our offense, which is already potent, in solid field position, if not just get a touchdown outright.
I'm calling it this year, Kofi. There will be a special teams touchdown this year.
If it's not, I'm looking at the special teams coach side. I like it.
Exactly. All right, moving on to the list. I'm going to go with a couple of freshmen who we've talked about. Of course, I think of all the freshmen, I think I'm most curious to see, and this is such a veteran team, I don't think there's going to be much room for freshmen this year. Hopefully not. Hopefully injuries don't become a thing and we need to see those freshmen. But I think the two freshmen who we will see at some point, I'm hoping we see more of DeAndre Francis, 5'6" freshman from Rickards High School. I think he has shown enough ability in the scrimmages that you got to find a way to get him on the field. You got to find a way. And then I think, I think Muratovic. I think somehow Muratovic has really shown. I'm not calling it. I'm not saying anything. I'm not calling for no quarterback controversy or anything like that. But I think week 2 against Fort Valley State, we will see I'm calling it now. Week 2, you will see a junior Muratovic sighting against Fort Valley State. I'm calling it now against Fort Valley State. I think that'll be a good spot to see him and see what he can do there. So those are my 2 freshmen. How about who else we have on our list, Kelvin?
DBs, and I said last week that I thought this would be our next most talented group outside of those wide receiver group, and I still believe that even with the injury. And so the Lovey Jenkins and those transfers we got in, the Bowler boys, Mercer, I've seen them flash, and Javon Morgan, local kid, Florida High. I've seen some plays from him, and one person we hadn't mentioned, Syracuse transfer, Nadarius Fagan,
Wow,
linebacker. I really think all those. I think they're going to be, significant contributors on this team.
All right. What about you, Kofi?
Well, I mean, we just got Antoine Collier, man. I think that he's going to everything he is as advertised. Plenty of speed, lots of knowledge, playmaking ability, and to have him back there paired with Bell is just going to be. I'm just interested to see how we scheme this defense. I'm looking for lights out. I'm looking for shutouts. I'm looking for turnovers. I'm looking for pick sixes. I'm looking for all of those different things with all those playmakers that we have back there.
Another defensive back, I think that we may have overlooked. I know it was on our list, Jabari Jowden. I hope I said his last name right. 6 foot, 175, redshirt sophomore. He transferred from Savannah State, went to Jacksonville Revolt. So we mentioned we had a couple of Savannah State transfers. So we had Jowden, and then we also had McLeod. So yeah, that's a pretty healthy. I mean, by my count, guys, I think that's about 15 guys that we counted and came across that we think impact newcomers. It'll be interesting to see by mid-season who on this of these 15 names, who's still on. We'd probably be able to narrow it down to 10 by mid-season. But it was a little too hard to do here in the preseason. Let's transfer our attention over to that schedule. The SWAC schedule, we've looked at it 100 times. We've listened to the prognosticators. I feel like I've talked about it several times on different shows in different places. I've even broken it down every game. I got a win-loss for every game. I can tell you how the whole season is going to go. But anyway, let's look at the most impactful games of the entire SWAC schedule. Well, let's start it off. You go first, Kelvin, and then we'll bring it on around the horn.
Well, the most important game, I still think it's going to be that matchup between Alabama A&M and FAMU. I think that's October 18th, somewhere around there.
October 16th, FAMU at Alabama A&M.
I think that's going to be the most important game. I think the SWAC is, the East is very heavy. I think there's a lot of parity, and it just may happen that nobody goes undefeated in the East, right? I think most of the prognosticators have said or predicted that whoever wins East is probably going to have at least one loss, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. So that's a really big game. I also think that the JSU game against Alabama A&M, which is the week before our game, and that's in Huntsville also. So they got 2 back-to-back games in Huntsville against probably the 2 of the top 3 teams in the East, with the exception of Bethune-Cookman. So So I'm gonna lay my hat on that them 2 weeks in Huntsville as to how the SWAC East turns out, and I think that whoever comes out on top, I think the East is going to beat the West at the end of the year in the championship game.
Yeah,
and I would love us to host that in Tallahassee at Bragg.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right. All right, Kofi, where do you want to go?
Well, we're on that Alabama A&M tip. I'm gonna move back a little bit earlier with, I want to say, Alabama A&M versus Bethune-Cookman down in Daytona. I think that's going to be a huge game because, like FAMU, Bethune has not played in over 600 days, and they've got a lot of returning people. They've got Florida speed. They played pass defense pretty well. So it's going to be interesting to see how Alabama A&M and Bethune-Cookman really match up. And with where Bethune-Cookman has been picked to finish, the Wildcats are playing with a big chip on their shoulder, feeling like it's the world against us. Ain't nobody even concerned about us. And we've been beating SWAC people for a long time. So
that's right. Let them tell it.
Yeah, they've been beating lately. I mean, since I want to say Jenkins was there, they've had solid success. And what's funny is Bryan Jenkins' son plays for Alabama A&M. So this will be his first soiree back down in his old stomping grounds down there in Daytona. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that impacts. And then, of course, I'm going to go over to the west side. I think obviously your Southern versus Alcorn is going to be huge as usual, along with Prairie View, Grambling, and Alcorn, and I want to say Alcorn and Grambling as well. I think all those are going to be a big dogfight to see, and I don't want to leave out UAPB because they were in the SWAC championship game just this past spring. So, yeah, it's a ton of great games all across the board.
A couple of interesting notes I found. I had that Alabama A&M at Bethune on that's a Thursday night game. So that is a national television game Thursday night. And I think the thing for Bethune, they have a game on Saturday against UCF. So it's a local game. So it's not like they're having to travel a long distance, even though they start the season in El Paso, Texas. But Alabama A&M really has a bye week before. So they got to play a South Carolina State team, and then they play that Bethune game really with almost extra time. So that's going to be that's a game where you got one team that's going to have, let me do the math here, 14, 15 days off, and then the other team with 4. You talk about a nice contrast there. I don't know, a lot of people have different theories about, extra rest versus playing on limited rest. And so however you view that game will be something you want to pay attention to for that game. And then another note, Kofi, that October 9th, Grambling at Alcorn. Alcorn only has 3 home games all year. They only have 2 conference home games. That game against Grambling is one of the 2 conference home games. So it'll be a lot of hype there for Alcorn to play at home, one of their few home games this upcoming year. So you guys took a lot here. So let me see. What else do I have on the list? How about
you got the Bayou Classic?
Huh?
So you had the Magic City Classic. You got the Bayou Classic.
Yeah. Obviously the classics. I mean, we've got the Bayou Classic, which I'm predicting will be an upset this year. I think Grambling will win that one. You got the Magic City Classic, which I'm predicting Alabama State will win this year. Yep, I said it. You obviously the season starts with the Orange Blossom Classic. I mean, that's a big game, but here's a game that I want you to pay attention to. I'm gonna turn to UAPB.
Yes.
UAPB has one of the most advantageous home schedules in the SWAC. You know, not only does it start where they play Alcorn on a Thursday, right? Early in the year in September, home game. Then October 16th, the same day we're playing Alabama A&M, they host Southern, right? October 16th. 2 weeks later, UAPB hosts Grambling. And then guess who they get the following week? FAMU. They've got 4 games, 3 of them towards that period of October 16th to November 13th, where they're playing Southern, Grambling, FAMU, all at home. Nobody has a home schedule more advantageous than UAPB. But remember, people pick UAPB, what, 4th or 5th in the West? Yeah, bro, I'm telling you now, watch out for UAPB because that team is legit. And the fact that you get those teams at home, I'm very worried for. I've already said that's my FAMU trap game right there because of what we're coming off of. And then that, and the fact that UAPB has got us at home, you know, back-to-back road trips. So just pay attention to UAPB in those home games. What else you got, Kelvin?
Nah, what I would say is, I'm like you, I'm of the same thought process. Bethune and UAPB will be the 2 schools that will help determine who wins the SWAC. They're good enough to beat anybody. And they're gonna beat some of the teams that are ranked predicted to finish ahead of them. They're gonna do that. And it just hopefully it won't be FAMU.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
How about you, Kofi?
Yeah, I mean, the SWAC, the one thing about the SWAC is you've literally got to come ready to play every single week. There's somebody that's ready to knock you off every single week. Even the weaker teams, your Texas Southerns, your Mississippi Valleys are not necessarily pushovers. They've got a ton of athletes. They've got transfer players that can make life miserable for you. So not to mention the SWAC referees play a big part in what happens in these ball games. And so being able to be mentally tuned in and dialed in and not getting flustered, not losing it is key, because these jokers here, you can have the replay saying X, Y, and Z right there, and they will still make some boneheaded calls and be like, what in the world? Now that we're in the conference, because we thought the MEAC referees were just the absolute worst, but we're in a conference, people, where the referees are even worse than the ones that we had in the MEAC. I'm here to tell you, so get your mind right.
Well, how do you really feel there, Kofi?
About it. Look, this is the conference where the dude was standing on the sideline. I think it was a Prairie View Grambling dude, and he had the shotgun pointed at the referee and say, "What's the call, ref? What's the call?" You know, so it's that type of stuff.
One other thing I want to bring to you in terms of teams that have an outrageous home field advantage. Southern University, October 30th, November 6th, November 13th, 3 weeks in a row. Southern, now, to my knowledge, unless the schedule is not correct, they host Alcorn, FAMU,
and Jackson State.
Talk about, I mean, if you're a Southern fan and you didn't buy season tickets, shame on you, because that's a heck of a 3-game a run there that is
I just don't
unrivaled.
That schedule, their schedule alone, in my opinion, is probably, I believe, just the toughest in the SWAC, because they've got they're going to run just all the way from September all the way down. And I know they've got a ton of depth, they've got a ton of players, but that's one hell of a gauntlet to have of teams to have to go through. And then you've got Grambling that following week. That's an emotional
right
investment that, you know, only the most stable of coaches and rosters can pull through that. And they've got
Yeah, no, you brought that. It's a good point. The second half of Southern's schedule, when they start at UAPB, it's UAPB, Prairie View, Alcorn, FAM, Jackson State, Grambling. I mean, that's the second half of the season. So, and then needless to say, you've got the SWAC's 13th member in McNeese State that you host. I mean, you host McNeese State, that you better hope you can beat McNeese State, because you got Miles, Troy. Yes. I mean, it doesn't start easy.
And none of those teams are pushovers, bro. Like,
oh, exactly.
Troy, Miles is the SIAC defending champ. Obviously Southern should handle them, but they're not going to be, a straight up pushover. They're not going to be Edward Waters going in Jackson State. This is a skilled squad that's going to be physical.
Hey, let's keep Edward Waters out our mouth. I don't need any more promos going out where we get the president of Edward Waters, trying to.
Well, they got beat on national TV. It was 53 to whatever that was, and Dion and them the band was playing On Time God. There's all kind of stuff. They just got killed on national TV. They're eventually, now I will say this, Edward Waters eventually is going to be a power. They're in Florida. They're in a city where there's a ton of football talent. They just upgraded their facilities. They have everything that they need to have a strong athletic program. It's just going to take some time to build that level up. And as we've seen, just here at FAMU, it's not anything that's overnight, but it takes leadership, it takes unity, it takes a cohesiveness from the president of the university on down through the alumni in the community, but it's all there for the taking.
All right, well said. It's also a good setup for coming up in the next segment. We'll give our week 0 predictions. Edward Waters actually does host they play a game, opens their new stadium this upcoming weekend in week 0. And they do it against another Florida school, not FAMU, but another Florida school, another HBCU. So we'll get into that, as well as the MEAC SWAC Challenge, and a final segment with some news notes, some big announcements coming from the FAMU Athletic Department, and a little bit more. So again, stay tuned. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. Bryan, Kelvin, Kofi. We'll be back right after these words. Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Hear the BCSN Sports Wrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports
Tell everybody
Network.
they can follow their dreams.
right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Bryan Fulford, Kofi Hemingway, Kelvin Rozier here. Again, want to just encourage you. Thank you for all your participation in this show. Please like, subscribe, share. Everything that you do there helps out the algorithm, helps continue to grow this show. We are part of the Black College Sports Network, so make sure you are tuned in, logged in. BCSN Pod Zone is where you can listen to the show, the audio version. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, make sure to like and subscribe us there. All of the shows you can find on Facebook at OandGStrikeZone, or you can find them on Twitter, Instagram as well. So continue to share the love. We appreciate the comments. Send your thoughts to OandGStrikeZone@gmail.com. All right, fellas, as we start to wind down here, let's get into the big story that the athletic department dropped earlier this week, and that is that the Florida A&M University is partnering with Peak Management Sports to create the Rattler Sports Network, and they will be debuting the Willie Simmons Show live on Mondays at 7 p.m. Now, the first thing that comes up is I feel like that headline needs to change a little bit, because Peak Sports is not really creating the Rattler Sports Network, because the Rattler Sports Network has been around for a long time. It's almost like a rebirth, or a what do we want to call it? A remix, something. I'm trying to find the right words here. You guys
relaunch.
A relaunch, thank you, of the Rattler Sports Network, where FAMU will become the first HBCU with an in-house audio network. So, look, it's a partnership that, with this Peak Sports Management, apparently it's a 5-year deal in which this agreement gives Florida A&M 24/7 online audio airwaves, hardware, and production support. The first broadcast will be the football coaches show on Monday, August 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by a live broadcast of the Orange Blossom Classic on September 5th. Now, I don't know what that live broadcast will be. Obviously, it won't be the game, because the game will be on ESPN. So there are a lot of questions that come out of this. I think I'm just going to kind of read quotes for a second from A.D. Gaucher. He says, "We're excited to have an in-house platform that will allow us to broadcast Florida A&M University athletic content to Rattler fans, alumni, prospective students, and student athletes around the globe. Peak Sports has developed a turnkey solution that will also allow us to further maximize our multimedia rights." Thoughts, gentlemen, questions, go.
So I'll start off here, and I'm going to take a cautiously optimistic view of this. I want to, there's some details missing from me. The terms of what exactly are they providing? In general, I kind of hear what he's saying, and then what kind of guarantees, what kind of financials come back. I do know that locally it's not very popular not having it on the radio. With COVID
talk about that aspect.
Right? Yes.
Talk about that aspect right there, which is not in the press release, but kind of came out.
Yes. So it won't be on the local radio, and they're saying that you can see it through the athletic website and social media, and I don't know if they're charging for that or not, and I know they get, they've got to have some kind of connections, so hopefully they've got all the logistics, even when you're on the road and other folks' stadiums, worked out where they can get that signal where it needs to go, and so forth. So I want to see how it works and play out, and then they have Mike Thomas and I think Chester doing the
Mike Thomas and Albert Chester, will be the
No
play-by-play.
Keith?
no Keith Miles, and so
Keith Miles will not be calling
the
games.
the voice of the Rattler. So that's different, and so we'll have to see how this plays out. But a decision has been made, and Peak seems to be a regional type company and deal with smaller regional universities from Texas to Florida. None of the big boys are with them. So I just have to see. I just want to get comfortable and get familiar with them.
So we're not going to be on 96.1 broadcasting the game?
No,
the games will not be aired locally on the radio, on terrestrial radio. The games will not be airing, at least as of right now. It does not appear they will be airing on terrestrial radio anywhere in the state of Florida, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know. Because, just traditionally,
sure.
Our people, I know when just coming up as a young man, listening to Chico Renfro on the radio was a big deal. Yeah. Listening to Keith Miles as a young man gave an understanding, even, just being able to listen to him on the radio was huge. So now having, and I love Albert Chester, his family, and, Mike is obviously family as well, but it just kind of gives me a little pause. I'm happy that we're the first. I'm happy, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of relationship ties that we have with 96.1 that I wonder how they feel about it. It can't be, it's just a little concerning. I know that things are business and business is big. I just don't, there's not a lot of details in terms, as Kelvin was saying, in regards to what the payout is going to be and what that's going to look like for us. How is this beneficial for FAMU? Why is this beneficial? Why now would you make this move and not include 96.1 at some point with this? So I would like to just hear a little bit more detail about it. But congratulations to FAMU. Obviously, you got to do what you got to do. But I have a few questions, kind of like.
Yeah. Well, I'll say one thing, that usually deals like this come with some sort of what I'm going to call, for lack of a better word, a starter check. There's usually, and I'm saying this based on what I've seen from other deals from companies like Peak or Flow Sports. There's usually some sort of starter check which is given to the university for the rights to this inventory, and this inventory being these different shows and things that they're looking to broadcast. Now, I'm assuming from this point, as you said, Kelvin, we don't know. We still don't know all the details, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Here we are 2 weeks from the start of the season. What kind of advertising runs, who are the sponsors that sign on to be a part of this? Because I do know, and this is part of me saying the relaunch of the Rattler Sports Network. The Rattler Sports Network used to be in a dozen markets across the state of Florida.
Yes.
And that was the thing. There are other schools across this state that, they go to radio stations. Look, just to say it, Florida State, they've got connections where their broadcasts will air in different cities across Florida. Same for the University of Florida. Florida A&M used to have, I believe, almost 10 or at least a dozen different networks, stations, probably more so Black-owned radio stations or AM stations.
Yes.
That would air Rattler football. And so there was always a connection there with those. And obviously you had them in places where alumni bases were larger. So, that just made sense. And I guess my only hesitation of moving away from terrestrial radio is people have been saying terrestrial radio was going to die 20 years ago. It's still around. It's not going anywhere. Right. So my only thought is, it's great that now you're connecting with a new digital mobile entity, and that you're now making your broadcast global. That's great. But I always say, be careful about going global and forgetting about your home base, which is the state of Florida, the city of Tallahassee, or the Big Bend area. I would be cautious about losing that connection, because there's still a transition phase for a lot of people when it comes to digital. Everybody over the age of 50 is not as hip to the technology age as maybe we are, or the 30 and 20 somethings are. So,
Absolutely.
that's a big concern. I know I'm hearing, I've heard from a lot of older Rattlers. I say older, I'm probably talking anybody over the age of 50, but you guys have too. I'm sure you have. So that's going to be interesting to see how you connect in, how you plug in. I bet that's a bigger issue than, look, there's a lot of people who like Keith Miles and have enjoyed all of the broadcasts and the coverage at Keith, but probably where I can listen to the game was always been a sore point for me. And I'm in the state, but I'm not in Tallahassee. And so I had trouble even with the previous station finding games from their network, and I thought that should have just been improved, which seems like it should have been simple, but there's other things there. So, that's going off on another tangent about business operations and marketing and advertising. And we don't have time to go there. But
the radio stations have websites where you can just go to the website and actually pull up the game or whatever.
But they have to be connected though. They have to be connected to air those games. And I didn't think that was always the case. And I don't think they always were connected in to do that. Sometimes there's some rights and there's some licensing things that go on with those as well, where you may have a licensing issue that you can't broadcast this game outside of the market. I don't know. I know other places that happens, but it's just one of those things that I think we're just gonna sit back and watch on it and see what happens. And I hopefully, look, there's the Willie Simmons coaches show begins Monday, August 30th. And I'm hoping, because this press release says that it's coaches and not just football, I'm hoping, Coach Gokhan Yilmaz, we see his show. I'm hoping that we see this Shalom Pillow show. Coach McCullum, that he has his show. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that if we're doing coaches shows, we got to be willing to get all of our coaches in that network and be able to give them the same weekly love that the football program will get.
And that's my concern, Brian, because even in the release, I'm looking at it and it caught my attention, and I made it as one of the points I was going to make. It's listed as potential on-air FAMU sports programming. When you talk about FAMU officials are currently discussing the inclusion of men's and women's basketball in the winter season broadcast coverage. They're looking into baseball and softball. That concerns me because, when you sign deals like that, that stuff should be a part of the deal, and it should be firm, in my opinion. And I agree. Those coaches and those student athletes, they work hard. They program deserve some exposure too.
Yeah. So again, we'll so I guess as best as we could tell, the Willie Simmons Live presented by Hyatt House will be on Monday, 7 p.m. at the Hyatt House, Tallahassee Capital University, where I guess fans, if you're in Tallahassee, you can go watch that in person. But the fans, you can watch that show if you go to Florida A&M's Facebook page, or you can listen on the Rattler Sports Network, which I guess you can access through FAMUathletics.com. So, FAMUathletics.com/Rattler Sports Network. So good luck to that venture. Good luck. We hope it works. Hope it works well. That's about all we can say right now. Volleyball season. Our Lady Rattlers start the regular season this upcoming weekend, traveling to Mobile, Alabama, playing the in a weekend tournament. I believe that's going to be hosted by University of South Alabama. I believe that is where they are located, in Mobile, Alabama. And so they start Friday night, August 27th, with a morning game. And then Saturday, they play a pair of games Saturday morning against Charleston Southern University, and then in the afternoon against Jacksonville University. That is in Mobile. I believe University of South Alabama is the host. I don't have any information as to whether those games will be online, but I would say I'd recommend go to University of South Alabama's website, check out their athletic department website, and see if they are hosting that video online coverage of those games. Do you guys see where the SWAC preseason, when we were talking to Coach Gokhan, we didn't know where the Rattlers were going to be in the SWAC preseason. Did you see where they had us ranked 6th?
Yes, I did.
Joe.
And I give no credits to preseason. Like Gokhan, Coach Gokhan explained, they go with, teams that have been a part of the conference, the players that they already know. So, FAMU volleyball has been a power in the MEAC for a long time, and we never finish outside of 2 generally in our division. So I don't see any difference going into the SWAC. And I would say that it was a good sign in the Florida State exhibition game. The fact that we actually took a set from them early tells me that this team is a little bit sooner than usual together and have some chemistry and rhythm, and it obviously can play at a high level to get a set from a program like Florida State, which is an ACC Power 5 type program. So I'm really paying attention this weekend, because I see some matches where I'm sure we'll be competitive. And if he can come out of there with 1 or 2 wins, then I think that bodes well from that 6th place prediction.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And we ended up finished 6th behind Bethune. So just, it is what it is. But I thought it was still a good thing that we finished in the top 6, by the way. So that's one good thing. And I just did a quick little flip over to South Alabama's website, usajaguars.com. And that contest will appear on ESPN Plus. So Friday, 11 a.m., that game will be on ESPN Plus, FAMU University of South versus University of South Alabama. So let's make sure to go support the ladies and in their travels this weekend. All right, a couple other news notes, guys. How about the cheerleading squad? Cheerleading, I meant to mention this last week, but we want to make sure we give the ladies their props. The cheer team competed in the National Cheerleading Association Collegiate Camp back on August 9th to the 11th. And they earned themselves a bid to nationals. The highest bid to nationals garnered 2 additional first place finishes for rally routine and game day segment in the all-girl advanced division. And so the Rattlers, the award-winning Rattlers, received all superior ribbons and spirit stick acknowledgement for showcasing outstanding spirit. And so with the collegiate gold bid, the team qualified for the NCA and NDA Collegiate Cheer and Dance Championship, which will be held April 6th through the 10th next year in Daytona Beach, Florida. So props to the ladies, the cheer squad doing their thing. So congratulations to those ladies. You make sure you tell them congratulations when you see them at the football games this upcoming weekend, so on and so forth. Another note, guys, how about the women's basketball program just named a couple of other new assistants. Well, actually named one assistant and then promoted another. Brittany Scott becomes a new assistant coach under Coach Shalom Pillow, and she comes to Tallahassee after being the head coach at Northeast High School in Oakland Park, Florida for the past 3 years. Where's Oakland Park, Florida at, guys?
Your guess is good as mine. I thought you were
I have no idea.
I thought you were about to say Live Oak or something like that.
The natural Floridians. I thought you guys would be able to just know that right off the top of your head. Well, I finished.
You said what now? It's what?
Oakland Park, Florida.
Oakland Park, Florida.
Yeah. So Coach Scott, she led her team to a runner-up district, and the highest finish is 27. But here's where I think the big get for
Broward County.
It's where?
Broward County.
Broward County. All right. Look, here's where I think you bring in somebody like Coach Scott. She's been a head coach and the assistant program director on the AAU circuit with the Miami Suns, which is a Nike EYBL program for the last 4 years. And so that ties you in to some top level recruits down in South Florida, but just you get a coach who has ties with the Nike EYBL circuit, which don't sleep on the women's circuit. It is pretty good. I know the men's circuit gets a lot of the attention, but there are some top level elite women, young ladies playing, and Nike does a good job of sponsoring with a similar EYBL circuit for the women. So I think that's the draw for bringing in somebody like Coach Scott, somebody who's going to be able to help with the recruiting over the next couple of years, I think, to help bring in a few players and maybe even some transfers, some ladies who may have played for her or in her program who might be looking to change direction, as you might say. And one more news and note from Coach Pillow and the women's program. Russ Jackson, the assistant coach who's been with her since October 20th, after serving at Daytona State College as the associate head coach, where he was for about 4 years from 2016 to 2020. He's now been promoted to the associate head coach position. So Coach Pillow, I'm really excited for her. Hopefully, I'm so excited that she'll get an actual chance to coach this year. Lord willing. I mean, let's just stay positive here, but it's really disappointed with how things ended for her last year, and I think she's going to do great things with the women's program. We just gotta get the season started. So let's keep our fingers crossed and our prayers up that the season starts for them. All right, final word, gentlemen, as we get ready to wrap up this show. Kofi, final thoughts, final words.
Man, we are 1 week away from FAMU football. 1 week away. I'm so excited to see this team in action. I can't wait to see us tear up some Tiger meat. So I'm looking to see us get ready. But I wonder what's up with the darn color codes. What we wearing down there? Like, where the color codes at?
You saw the picture. We tweeted it out, but it was really, I don't know if DeAndre Francis was the first person, but it was that picture of the 8 different color combinations, including the white helmet making its debut on jerseys. I still say there was 2 color I don't know. I may have posted. There were 2 color combinations.
They hit that all white. They hit that all white, and they hit that all orange.
Yes.
But
those are the 2.
Right. But it's obviously possible. So I'm looking forward to all of them.
I feel like for homecoming, you remember back in the day, homecoming, we did it was like the all orange. You had the orange helmet, the old orange top, orange bottom. I think the only time that came out was homecoming back in the 90s. I don't know if I ever saw the all orange in any other fashion. But
I'm looking forward. This is a clean group of uniforms. I like the look. I even like the one with the black cleats. I think it symbolizes toughness. So I'm anxious to see this group, and I want to see how it all comes together. I'm so excited.
All right. And you know what? I'm excited about, Kofi, that top 5 next week, top 5 stand bands and top 5 tuba sections in the SWAC next week. That's what I'm really excited.
Well, I'm gonna break all that down, man. Just 5, the 5 top bands. You got dance team, you got auxiliary, you got drills, you got a whole bunch of stuff, man. So I'm gonna try and it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it.
We just might need to do a special segment, Kelvin. We're just gonna have to do a special recording and just get it on tape, you know, so that way it's there, and then maybe we can add in some live video. That sounds like a lot of production work for somebody, so I got to be careful about what I say here. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for. All right, Kelvin, any final you can't get that out. Any final words and thoughts?
Don't forget, we have HBCU football this weekend. SWAC Challenge.
Thank you.
I am predicting. I'm gonna get my prediction on this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Alcorn State and against North Carolina Central. Yep. I think it's at 7 o'clock on ESPN.
Yes, sir.
So I'm predicting Alcorn State to win by 15, but I think they'll pull away late. I think Central's going to play them tough early. I think it'll be close at the half, but I think at the end of the day, Alcorn talent and the experience in winning those type games will give them the cushion, and the SWAC will get a win in the MEAC SWAC Challenge.
You want to make any predictions there, Kofi, with that MEAC SWAC Challenge?
Well, my mom went to Alcorn, so if I picked any other school, she'd be highly upset. Now, I will say my dad went to NCC.
Wow.
My dad went to NCC. My mom went to Alcorn, and
house divided.
Alcorn, huh?
House divided this weekend.
Yeah, Alcorn's going to win this game. I would be shocked. Now, NCC is better than probably a whole lot of people. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and people have been talking about the demise of the MEAC, but the MEAC is going to be extremely tough. I'll go on to say, obviously Flomo and Edward Waters play this week too. So I'm going to say Flomo. I'm going to go with Flomo.
No, Edward Waters. I'm going with Edward Waters on that one. It's in Jacksonville, right?
It is in Jacksonville.
Yeah, in new stadium. Edward Waters used to playing tougher competition, frankly. They played a lot of Division I HBCUs and so forth. And I like the talent and the coaching, that potential for Flomo, but man, they just ain't been looking too good. They ain't there yet.
I think I'm gonna go Edward Waters by a score of maybe like 27-21. I think they'll come through fourth quarter. I think it'll be a fairly even team, even game, and then maybe fourth quarter, maybe you'll kind of see a couple of drives lead to field goals, or maybe just a good touchdown drive when they're down. That'll pull Edward Waters University to a victory. Also, I'm going to say 38-21, Alcorn by a 2-touchdown plus over North Carolina Central. And then the other week 0 matchup is a Kentucky State Central State SIC. They're playing in the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio.
Kentucky State.
Yeah, I'm going Kentucky State in that one, probably by a score of like 17-3. Defensively, I expect Kentucky State to shut down Central. Obviously, those two programs haven't played since 2019, so I mean, we're all throwing darts at the wall at this point. We're trying to see until we see people play. It's all speculation at this point. So we do have some HBCU football coming up this weekend. And so we want to encourage you to watch, consume, and just realize there are no more Saturdays without college football. So your weekends are now fulfilled, and we are excited. Yes, exactly. See the enthusiasm. We count down less than 2 weeks to the Orange Blossom Classic, FAMU, Jackson State. Make sure to stay safe and mask up, people. This Delta variant is just wreaking havoc with high schools and schools. So that means it's affecting young people. And if it can affect young people, that means it can get to adults as well. So everybody needs to stay safe. A lot of stadiums are going to be open. You're going to have to be cautious. If you're nervous, you may have to stay home. But let's look out for one another, and let's continue to be ready to be our best whenever we can. That's going to do it for this show. Again, follow, like, and subscribe everywhere you see OandGStrikeZone, and then email your comments to OandGStrikeZone@gmail.com. So that's going to do it for this episode. I want to thank you for watching, listening. For Kofi Hemingway, Kelvin Rozier, I'm Bryan Fulford. Hey, family, be safe and strike again.